Hello, everybody. If I could ask everybody to please come in and kindly find a seat. We're going to begin our program here very shortly. It's nice to see so many of you today. My name is Scott Cullither. I'm the president and the chief executive officer of the Invent Group. It's my pleasure to be here today at the National Press Club as the host of this event on behalf of Unity Unlimited and the 94-year-old social activist who's best known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, Miss Opal Lee. And I want to begin by giving all of you that have joined us here today at the Press Club a socially distanced hug of gratitude and thanks. Thank you for being here in person. And to all of you who are watching our live stream, I'd like to give you a virtual hug of gratitude and thank you for joining in as we launch Juneteenth, the Road to Unity. Our agency, Invent Group, is a global brand storytelling agency that has 9 offices in 6 different countries, and we're blessed to work with many of the biggest organizations in the world, helping them bring their brands to life through the art of storytelling. So with that said, some of you might be thinking, what the heck is this guy doing up here today? Well, the answer for me is simple. I'm doing the same thing that each of you in the room here at the Press Club are doing, as well as everybody at home watching the live stream is doing, and that is to support Miss Opal and the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation to make some noise and continue to shake the halls of our Congress and our Senate until they pass Juneteenth as a federal national holiday. And this is something that every session of Congress and Senate has skipped over for at least the last 25 years. And it's about time that changes. At Invent Group, we're all about doing great work. But as important, we're all about doing work that creates great impact and does great things. And Juneteenth is certainly one of those things. So I urge you all to continue to stay involved. And for those of you that aren't involved, I urge you to get involved. Get your family, your friends, your employers involved. We as an agency recently recognized Juneteenth as a national holiday in our 4 offices around the United States. Very simple to do. All leadership at corporate America has to do is recognize it and then have intention to make it a national holiday. So I urge you to go seek out your employers and encourage them to consider it. Also, we need to continue to reach out to our Senate and Congress and the members who represent us diligently through emails, phone calls, text messaging. And of course, we now have the power of social media. So the more that we can share all of this, the better we are and the faster we are going to get this amazing initiative passed into law. But most importantly, I urge you to help get Miss Opal's petition signed and get more signatures delivered to Capitol Hill. Last fall, we helped Miss Opal and Unity Unlimited deliver over 1.5 million signed petitions to Capitol Hill. But you know what? That wasn't enough. And together, we need to keep making noise, and we need to get our newly elected legislators on board with passing Juneteenth as a national holiday. We live in a time of great political division and continue as a society to confront social injustice and inequity. And Juneteenth gives us a chance to learn from our past and use those lessons to create meaningful, real, positive change for today and well into the future. As Miss Opal likes to say, Juneteenth is an opportunity to educate, understand, heal, but most importantly, Juneteenth is a unifier. And I believe the recognition of Juneteenth as a federal national holiday as one of the most significant unifying events to happen in our lifetime. But that's certainly not going to happen without our continued support. So with that said, I'd now like to recognize and welcome Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, who's called in and wants to say a few words to everybody. Representative Jackson Lee, thank you.
Congresswoman.
Good morning. Thank you to all of those who are gathered on this very important occasion. And it is important because when you have the grandmother of Juneteenth, Opal Lee, in your presence, you truly have a continuity of history, a sense of determination, a combination of Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth and Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan, and women from all over the world who have toughed it out and have certainly worked hard to make a difference in this country. Opal, grandmother Opal, sister Opal has made an enormous enormous impact on this nation and on this community. I'm excited about her fight for a Juneteenth holiday and joined in her faith. I am one of her soldiers, and I am grateful for inspirational leadership. We all know that it is important to acknowledge those slaves who, after Captain Granger announced in 1865 that they would be free, they didn't take up the offer of their plantation owners that they could stay and work. They made their trek away from that place to seek freedom. And because of the inspiration of grandmother of Juneteenth, Sister Opal Lee, I introduced the Emancipation Trail Act as well to connote and to be able to follow the march of the slaves from Galveston through Houston and beyond. But no one will know this story unless we do what is right, and that is to make Juneteenth an independent national holiday. I am one, again, of her soldiers. And to do that, I am very proud to say, with her inspiration, we will be introducing and have introduced in the United States House of Representatives today in her honor, the Juneteenth legislation with 102 co-sponsors. It is now H.R. 1310 in the United States House of Representatives. In addition, we will have our complimentary introduction by Senator Markey today in the United States Senate. We are on the move, introduced both in the House and the Senate, the Juneteenth Independence Day holiday, Juneteenth National Independence Day. What a mighty response to the decades of work, the miles and miles that you have traveled. You are a mighty woman with a mighty movement. I am proud to be in your movement. I am proud to be just a soldier in the movement. And we are promising to work with the administration, to work with the Senate, to work with the House of Representatives, to move on this outstanding dedication. By the way, the legislation that I introduced is bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats supporting a Juneteenth National Independence Day. As we all know, John Robert Lewis, our late friend and civil rights leader, said, if you see something that's not right, do something. It was not right not to honor this enormous impact of slavery, and we are doing something. We're getting into good trouble. Thank you so very much for having me.
Sheila!
Yes.
You belong to me. Oh, how I appreciate you. Let me get it close to you. I'll hug you to death.
I can feel your hug right now. You stay safe. You know I want you to be safe. So stay safe.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you.
Love you. It's in the hopper. Okay.
Thank you, Congresswoman. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being patient with me.
Wow. Today is historic, truly historic. So in both the Senate and the House, the bill has been reintroduced today. So we're going to see and hear from several of our other supporters, congressional supporters. And first, we have Senator John Cornyn.
Hi, I'm Texas Senator John Cornyn. I want to take a moment to recognize my friend, Ms. Opal Lee, for her steadfast service at the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. From her Walk to DC campaign to her online petition that has garnered 1.5 million signatures Her commitment to making Juneteenth a national holiday has been an inspiration. As a Texas senator, I've made it a top priority to see Juneteenth celebrated by everyone across the country, not just us here in Texas. I'm proud to have filed legislation to make it a federal holiday in addition to resolutions recognizing Juneteenth every year for the last 12 years. With Ms. Opal's efforts and all your help, I hope we'll see it become a federal holiday soon. Ms. Opal, thank you again for your service to our state and our country. Keep up the great work.
As we were getting ready to come over here today, a lot of the senators could not, because they've started hearings for what happened in January. And so Senator Tina Smith also produced a video, and you'll see on the screen that we were just with her and Senator Markey over in the Hart Building, and had a great time with talking to them, and they let us know that again today they were going to be introducing the Senate version. So now let's hear from Senator Tina Smith.
Hi, I'm U.S. Senator Tina Smith. Thank you, Ms. Opal Lee, for gathering us together today, for your tenacious leadership, and for your determination to make Juneteenth a national holiday. Last year, when I met you in Washington, you were delivering 1.5 million petition signatures to lawmakers in support of your fight. And since then, you just kept on keeping on in your work to unite people around your vision. I hear that you're well on your way to reaching 3 million signatures, and I am with you. It is long past time that we recognize Juneteenth, the oldest celebration of the end of slavery in the United States, as a federal holiday. Today, Senator Markey and I reintroduced the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act. This legislation has bipartisan support, and so while it was blocked in the Senate last year, we are going to keep on keeping on until we get it done. Thank you again, Ms. Lee, for your leadership, your tenacity, and your wisdom, your vision that, as you say, we can do so much more together than we can apart.
And so there can be no support unless you have support at home. I want to bring before you our Congressman, Ms. Opal Lee's Congressman, Mark Vesey, Fort Worth.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that so many of my colleagues are participating in this very momentous day. And I got to tell you that I know it's hard for people to be here. There's so much going on. There's so much going on right now on Capitol Hill with the investigations, looking into what happened on the 6th, the reconciliation bill, so we can get more COVID, money and relief to millions of Americans that are really hurting right now. But for me to be here was really special, just because I've known Miss Opal Lee for so long. She is a constituent, lives not too far from where I reside, and for me, being here is important today. And it's really moving to me, honestly, to be from Fort Worth, Texas, and to think about what Miss Opal Lee has done for our city, and to bring Juneteenth to the recognition that she has, and to just see it happening from someone in my hometown, from and if to know Fort Worth, like so many Black communities around the country, Fort Worth is a big city. We have 900,000 people, but the older Black communities that were inside of the loop on the north side, Southeast Fort Worth, Stop 6, Riverside, all those communities, everybody knows one another. Everybody knows people by what church they grew up in, what high school they went to when the schools were segregated, what part of East Texas your people came from. Everybody really knows one another. And for it to get to the point that we are today here at the National Press Club with a bipartisan piece of legislation from both Republicans and Democrats, Senate and House, is so moving to me. And it would not have happened without the work of Miss Opal Lee. And it's an incredible feeling right now. And, you know, we're going to continue to make sure that Juneteenth gets the recognition that it does. We're going to continue to work hard here in the House. We're going to continue to work hard back at home. We're going to continue to raise awareness. Opal Lee is going to continue to march until we get this legislation passed, because it's long overdue. And we need to make sure that this work is done while our hero and civil rights leader, Miss Opal Lee, is here with us and can celebrate with us. She's 96 years old and has dedicated her life to this. And we need to make sure it happens ASAP. And, you know, when I think about Juneteenth growing up in Fort Worth, we used to get together at Sycamore Park. It was a big celebration in a neighborhood that used to be very segregated before everything integrated. And we used to get together at Sycamore Park, and Opal Lee put together an amazing event. And that was really the earliest that I remember Juneteenth. But Juneteenth is more about barbecues and picnics and get together. It's about enslaved persons in the U.S. and the journey to where we are today. The journey that we put into after Reconstruction, after the Civil Rights Movement, after the integration of the schools, everything that has been the election of Barack Obama as President of the United States, the election of Kamala Harris as the first woman and first Black woman that is Vice President of the United States. That's what this holiday is about. It's about all of those things and the point to where we are today. And that's the significance. That's why we have to keep moving. That's why we have to keep marching. And that's why we need to make sure that we get this done for our trailblazer, Miss Opal Lee. And I want to make sure that I congratulate her too. Some of you that are not from Fort Worth may not be aware of this, but Miss Lee was just recognized for being congratulated for being the recipient of Visit Fort Worth and our hospitality award that's given, and it's a very prestigious award that's given out and selected very selectively from a group of individuals in Fort Worth that are a part of this committee, and they honored us, Opal Lee, because of the work that she's done, her tireless work to bring recognition to Juneteenth and to make sure that Fort Worth is a diverse, a strong place for all of its citizens. So, Ms. Lee, I congratulate you for everything that you've done. You are an amazing person. This is a big day for our city. When you start talking about Bill Gooseneck McDonald, when you start talking about other legendary Fort Worth leaders that went down in history for trying to create a better way for African Americans in Fort Worth, trying to recognize our history and our contributions and the significance of our presence in the city. You're a part of those legends. And I want you to always know that and always remember that. And I just appreciate everything that you've done and appreciate our long-term friendship. Thank you very much.
You're never too old to try to do good.
Tonight, we want to introduce you to Opal Lee, the 93-year-old activist and lifelong Texan who has campaigned to make June 19th a national holiday for years.
If you tell her that you have a need, she's going to meet it. And she's going to go to anybody that she can think of that can meet that need.
But she figures out how to do it, and she stays with it until she gets it done.
If we were to document all those differences, all those times that she's made a difference, we would run out of paper with Opal Lee.
She really is what a tapestry of community work looks like at 94.
She's a trailblazer, and she has this sense of you keep going no matter what.
What heroism is, it's someone that goes over and above, all right, the call of duty to do something for someone else.
I'm Opal Lee. I've had these passions.
The Community Food Bank.
Opal's Farm.
United Riverside.
And one of them is Juneteenth.
She got here in 1939. They were able to buy the house on Annie Street. It was a white area of town. They were at home, and the mob came on June 19th to put them out of their house. That had to be the catalyst that made Juneteenth so important to her, that on this day that we're supposed to be celebrating freedom from slavery, that her house gets demolished, burnt up by an angry white mob that doesn't want them in that neighborhood.
Their family stayed here. She's made freedom the celebration instead of focusing on the oppression.
If you don't understand where you've been, then you don't know where you're going. They had the idea to bring back having a Juneteenth celebration, to make sure that, we don't forget to celebrate.
There's folks coming together. There's good food.
There were fireworks in the streets.
She's been doing Juneteenth for over 45 years.
As a kid, felt like to me, it was about the celebration. And as an adult, it's more about what I learned about Juneteenth through celebrating Juneteenth.
Juneteenth is more than a Texas thing. Juneteenth needs to be celebrated across the country. And she felt that if a little old lady, almost 90, because she was 89 at the time, started walking to D.C., someone would take notice.
Did a lot of walking out, and made a lot of stops in a lot of cities.
We created a petition for Juneteenth to be a national holiday on change.org.
Social media and all the social media platforms, word gets out.
She's building for people and with people. You can't stop that. You can't stop love. You know what I mean? And why would you want to?
Lupita from Black Panther, Usher, Bernie Sanders, Danny Glover, Nico Brim. P. Diddy wants to talk to Miss Opal.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you, Mama.
I am moved, probably as many people are, by her strength. But I think I'm more moved by her humanity.
She'll tell you, none of us are free until we're all free, and we're not free yet.
This is our town and we live here, then what are we gonna make a stand for? What are we gonna improve? How are we gonna help people?
You can do something right now in your own community and impact one life, one stomach, one education.
Opal's a legend, period, in our community, and the world's better off because of her, in Fort Worth especially.
And I'm hoping people, if they don't learn anything else about me, will know to help somebody else. I just hope that will happen. Thank you, young people. And if you're not 94, you're young people, okay? I'm thankful for Congressman Vesey. I'm grateful he was able to come because I know he's got work to do. And so I'm saying hello and thank you for coming. So good to see my friends here. And that includes the congressional support and members of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation that was started by Dr. Ronald Myers, who was at this press club I don't know how many times. And the group now is under the leadership of Steve Williams. And some of my friends are here. And where's Miss Juneteenth? Stand up, sweetie, so they can see who you are. Her parents brought her here. And I'm thankful for the people in the digital world and those who braved the virus to join us in person here at this National Press Club. With all that everyone's been through with the pandemic, I'm grateful to be here to continue my quest for Juneteenth as a national holiday. Now, those of you here are the movers and shakers that can make this happen. And I refuse to let the efforts we made die on the vine. These efforts include bringing Congress 1.5 million signatures and counting from our change.org petition that lets you know it's more than this little old lady in tennis shoes who wants this to happen. You can continue to sign the petition. Now, why should Congress adopt and name Juneteenth a national holiday? I thought you'd never ask. The heightened awareness has never been stronger. Never before have millions been aware of the atrocities that happened to the enslaved, or the blatant disregard for human life that is now occurring. A residual effect of slavery and a carryover of a slave mentality that has a vice grip on all of America. The time is now to get on the road to unity and start healing the heart and soul of our nation that's so deeply divided by years of harmful rhetoric and atrocities. Juneteenth is the unifier that will bridge the gulf and get all sides together to take action on these disparities that are evident in our jobs, our education, our health care, our housing, and the justice system. Congress established a national day of, if Congress will establish a national day of observance and reflection, it will allow not only African Americans, but everyone a chance to understand the benefits of commemorating the abolition of slavery and celebrating the basic freedoms slaves gained and these are things we take for granted. They were given the right to raise their own children and the children not taken from them. They earned the right to read and write, the freedom to do business and to own property, and to dress. If you don't know nothing about Black folk, they can dress. And marry who they wanted to. They gained the freedom to worship, to vote, and legislate, and be a part of the governing process. Now, let me tell you my dream for the nation. Each one of us, teach one of us how to love. It's that simple. If we've been taught to hate, we can be taught to love. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of love that got me 4 beautiful children in a marriage. I'm talking about the appreciation for the common humanity of us and all of its responsibility to teach the person to love that we know needs that lesson. The person you work with, the one that sits on the same pew with you. Now that was before the virus. The person who sits next to you at the club meetings, That's the person who has these negative things that they think and say about other ethnic groups. Of course, now, if you're the culprit, you come see me. And this won't happen overnight. You'll need to get out of your comfort zone, not quit when all seems lost. Let that person know that we all bleed red blood, that we're willing to work for what we need and want. All people want is equal pay and health care we can depend on, and climate change addressed, a decent education, and affordable housing. Now you may say, my hands are clean. I'm not part of that. But you don't speak out against it. You're the silent majority, whether black or white. You see nothing, you hear nothing, you say nothing. Come on. Use your power of persuasion to give them something to think about. Scientists tell us we are all descendants of Lucy, and that some of you lost that pigmentation on your way to somewhere. Hence, we are all brothers and sisters under the skin. Heaven knows we can get more done working together than we experience now. And so let me give thanks now to the first responders and the healthcare workers who are working like crazy together. Oh, if we had that tenacity. Now, in the days of old, unity was the key. The enslaved didn't free themselves. It took people like Harriet Tubman and Quakers and William Lloyd Garrison and Frederick Douglass and Nat Turner and John Brown, Sojourner Truth, and so many others together, working in concert to free the enslaved. And it's going to take the same collective consciousness to get us out of the quagmire that we're in now. I've said it to the previous administration, and I'll keep saying it to the present one. Juneteenth can be the unifier that's used to bring this country back together. As you begin the conversations that acknowledge the effects of the past sins of slavery on the present human condition, we can then accept that those same sins contribute to the systemic racism we see and experience every day. We start where we agree. We can all agree that freedom for the enslaved is worth celebrating. Then we can move to understand what they were freed from and work from there. We've seen and heard how unprecedented 2020 has been, but now at 94, I've lived long enough to see life repeat itself. We've had epidemics and civil unrest and protests around the value of Black lives before, but now we're 8 months later and we can't afford to lose the momentum we've gained. So now is the time to right the wrongs that have persisted all these many years. And I don't take it for granted that it took the death of George Floyd to awaken people to the historical significance of Juneteenth. And I don't want anyone else to have to lose their life for us to have the uncomfortable conversations about race that's necessary to begin the healing process. And Juneteenth is the vehicle to get us talking. Now is the time to bring the legislature that Senator Cornyn brought before the Senate and that lacked that just one vote of being unanimous and would have allowed the process to continue to the House for a vote. So with a new Congress, the bill process has to start all over again, starting in the House this time. So we are so grateful to Sheila Jackson Lee for doing this, and for Smith and Markey and the others in the Senate. I'm so glad I could do a holy dance. But before I leave here, I've got to tell you, I just got to give you a little history that you don't know nothing about. And I'm gonna tell you about it, because I got to flow. I'm talking about Carl's book, Nance. And if you don't know that Abraham Lincoln freed Nance and her son, I got some stuff up here. Let me see, where is it? Don't go away. And what Carl has given me is the fact that you needed to know the grief felt by the first family emancipated by the legal efforts of lawyer Lincoln. That was 52-year-old Nance and her wounded son. He was 25 years old, William Henry Costley. He was their friend and liberator. He was gone. But the war had been won, not quite. Texas still had not been pacified completely. Lincoln chose to ignore the French when they went to Mexico, but rebel Texas was joining the French Australian imperial forces against the legitimate Republic of Mexico, hoping to reestablish slavery. Secretary of War Stinson and General Grant saw a clear and present danger. Union soldiers were eager to go home, but many Black soldiers were willing to stay on the payroll. And so the general at the quartermaster still had over 3,000 supply ships, so he quickly put to sea the largest amphibious operation for the war, to send 30,000 troops of the 13th and 25th Corps to the Rio Grande, setting the stage for Juneteenth. The port of Galveston surrendered June 5th, the 28th, the 29th, the 31st, the New York units of the 3rd, the 2nd. They arrived in Galveston Bay on the 18th of June. The white units, the 34th Ohio, the 83rd, and the 114th Ohio, and the 94th all arrived within a few days. Over 6,000 men landed. About half of them were Black and half of them were white. And on the 19th of June is when General Granger, under the command of General Wetzlis and Sheridan, issued that General Order Number 3. The last 4 words of that first sentence was, "All slaves are free." Some slave to citizen Texans weren't sure it was true and not so some kind of trick. So they turned to Black men in them blue uniforms. Among the soldiers that was asked about it was William Henry Costley, who had been the first male slave freed by lawyer Lincoln a quarter of a century before. He smiled and assured them that he was living proof that the curse of slavery was indeed gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Opal, for reading my history paper.
Good afternoon, everyone. All things Juneteenth. All things Juneteenth. All things Juneteenth. That's the saying that we have amongst the Juneteenth nation. We understand that all aspects of progress that we've made have been brought behind Juneteenth and the initial of Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the actualization of freedom legislation. By the time the final Juneteenth took place in Oklahoma during the Treaty of 1866, the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment had been passed and ratified. but they were not real like a check until it was cashed. And Juneteenth is that cash. Now, myself, I'm overwhelmed today. I just have to say I'm overwhelmed today by the amount of things that come to fruition that tells me that Juneteenth will finally get there. I'm standing in the National Press Club in the Grand Ballroom where in 2002, I first met the Reverend Ronald V. Myers, Senior MD, at the National Press Club prayer breakfast for Juneteenth. And I'm being a California, Oklahoma, Colorado boy, knowing all about Juneteenth. I was coming up here to tell Doc and give him a piece of my mind about Juneteenth. I walked in that door over there. Doc was sitting at the table right there. And he said, "What's up, brother?" And I became a soldier in the Army of Juneteenth for Doc. And over the years, we knocked on doors and did things to get the legislation passed, and Doc taught me a lot. And one of the things he told me was to make sure that you have some stability and some order to your Juneteenth events. And to that end, he enlisted, born from Juneteenth, the Buffalo Soldiers. Here we had the national president, Michael Theriot, the Buffalo Soldiers. They were the USCT, and after Juneteenth, they became the 9th to 10th Cavalry, and the Buffalo Soldiers are here. So every year we have our flag, and the Buffalo Soldiers help us with our flag raisers around the country with such impeccable style and perfection that it just wants to bring tears to your eyes of pride, you know. And so I said, "Doc, we're going to keep this relationship with the Buffalo Soldiers. We're going to formalize it and make sure that all of our people, no matter where they're at in the country, if they can get to it, they can come perform that." And so over that time, we recognized that we needed to bring some more things together to make Juneteenth solidified nationally. And one of the things that I first noticed was that a lot of states had Miss Juneteenth competitions. And they weren't just pageants, they were teaching young women of color, young Black women about the essence of family and pride. And so we combined them all together. We put them together a couple years ago, and they came up and we said, we're going to have a National Miss Juneteenth pageant. 2 years of planning. And we got a scholarship winner in the name of Miss Sanaya Gay, the first National Miss Juneteenth winner. This is about bringing us all together, about unity across the country, you know. And so a foundation, an organization can yell and talk about Juneteenth and talk about freedom and do something, but we had to find something. And Doc Myers would go around the country driving in his truck, and we kept him. He would call us, all the foundation members that are in here, he would call you 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. "This is Doc Myers, you're a Juneteenth president." You know, and he would ask us to do things. Well, I can't drive that much, and I'm not a doctor, but I am an engineer. I'm a technical engineer. People tell me I'm a pretty good one. So one of the things we decided to do is to help our people keep up is by bridging the digital divide. And we wanted to bring internet access so our kids could be able to learn how to control and manipulate and maintain their own networks, how they can learn about programming and be able to be involved in business, and how our businesses can learn how to use that. And so we started working in different cities, and I've been a member of the Internet Society since 1998, and I moved from my last chapter a couple years ago down to DC at the urgency of some people to say, get involved in the lobbying, because I have worked with the Congressional Caucus Internet Advisory Committee right in the same building. So we're proud to bring Dustin Loop, Executive Director of the Internet Society of Washington, DC, who's working with us in Baltimore to bridge the digital divide in some of the most unoccupied and unavailable places in the country. And we're going to make sure that our kids have access to the internet no matter what other people say. We're going to, in their homes, in the safety of their own communities, without having to go places and be exposed to that. And so we're talking about a foundation that is working and coordinating with people, and we have great board members that have brought together education that we have brought to teach each and every senator their role and their aspect in Juneteenth. And one of the education people that you just heard about, a member of the Lincoln Society, brought on, who I first met in another room in this building. What was that, 2016, Carl? 4 or 5. Carl Adams is a member with us, but he's more importantly a member of the National Juneteenth Foundation's Education Committee. They produce documents like Introduction to Juneteenth, Juneteenth 101. It was led by Dr. Sherman. And on that, Carl has published a book called Nance, the true story of the first enslaved person freed by Abraham Lincoln, which he just talked to telling you about. So as a foundation, we've been working together to bring all these sources all together. But our mission is to make America a better place through these initiatives. And we want to really reach out to everybody and let them know that, let me get this. We want to congratulate President Joe Biden on his victory, his presidential campaign. We want to remind President Biden that as he spoke in 2013, on Juneteenth in 2013, at the Frederick Douglass statue, the commemoration statue, there along with Nancy Pelosi, there along with Mitch McConnell, there along with Chuck Schumer, Mr. Grassley, all of them were there at the dedication in 2013 for the statue, given the benediction by Barry Black. I can't even tell you how much I admire Barry, the chaplain Black. I mean, the amount of impact that he has. So that's a bipartisan right there. And they all came and talked to Doc and myself and said, Juneteenth is important to America. Okay, we're calling you on it. We're all across the country. Miss Opal joined 200 companies, 49 states, U.S. Congress. Make Juneteenth, put it on the calendar in everybody's mind permanently, okay? We need to have this happen. So we're asking you, Mr. Biden, as you talked with us when we were in Las Vegas in 2020 in February, and you came and you asked us about Doc, and I said he had passed, and you said, hey, Juneteenth is important. We're calling on you to work with the Congress, to urge them to push it, to get this legislation passed. Us at the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation, we have on with us today our youngest board member, Ms. Amani Terrell, from Los Angeles, California. And to finalize, we have our oldest board member, Ms. Opal Lee. We are a group of people since 1997 that have been working to make Juneteenth a national day of observance. We have developed plans and programs, led festivals and commemorations all across America. And we are now asking and we're imploring you all in Capitol Hill to join the rest of America and make Juneteenth a national day of observance. All things Juneteenth.
All things Juneteenth. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So please go to Juneteenth.us. And to that end, one of our contributors is a stakeholder in what they call the top level domain, Juneteenth.us, Dustin Loop. And we were using it as a way to drive petition traffic because it means Juneteenth us, Juneteenth United States. And Dustin was going to do something to acknowledge that. You want to speak on that for a quick second, Dustin?
Oh, sure, yeah. Thanks, Steve, and everyone. Great event. And, I'm the chair of the USTLD Stakeholder Council, and we were just really thrilled to see .us being used for such a great cause, and it was just really inspiring. And so looking forward to helping get this petition out, writing up a little post to share with our community on why they need to get behind this and help us make it happen.
Thank you, Dustin. So as we wrap up today, again, wanting to thank everyone that's involved. I really want to thank our fabulous team of Invent, Scott, Morgan, Paul, and all the team that didn't make it. We've got Will and Shelby here as well. They have come on board to be a blessing because of the drive that Ms. Opal has for making the awareness happen. And so I cannot express to you how much we truly appreciate the support that you guys have given us, the leadership, the connections that you guys have given us as well. And so I want to make sure that as we wrap up today. Okay. And so as Amani prepares to come, one of the things that I wanted to make sure folks understood is that a lot of people say, and you've seen a lot of states come on board for making Juneteenth a state holiday, and in counties and cities, they can not necessarily have it. And one of them was in Virginia. They celebrated it last year, even though the state is honoring it. A particular county said that, Juneteenth, Texas doesn't have anything to do with Virginia. And so they, opted to take it back. And so the question then becomes, what were people doing, okay, at different points when history came? And not to have a multiple day of freedom, but to have a single day of commemoration. We're not saying that every state has to abandon their day of freedom. No, that's historical. But if we have a single day of commemoration like Christmas, Christmas is celebrated on December 25th every year, no matter when it falls and when it comes. Everybody knows that December 25th is Christmas. And so what we're saying is to commemorate the abolition of slavery one time when we all can do it together. We just happen to do it on June 19th when actual freedom happened for some. All right. Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. All right. That's been proven, but it is a day that was chosen on the calendar to commemorate that important act. And that's what we're wanting to do with a national Juneteenth holiday. Okay, a day of freedom where we can all celebrate it all together. So again, it's not just about Texas. It's not just a Texas thing. It is a day for everyone to come together to recognize the freedom that was given to the enslaved. So for those who say, it's not my state's day, okay, but it's a day that we all across the country can do it. And Ms. Opal has a saying that we should celebrate freedom from the 19th of June to the 4th of July. That way, both ends of the spectrum are covered and you can truly celebrate freedom because slaves weren't free July 4th, 1776. So, Amani, go ahead and come on. One of the things that we wanted to make sure today is to be inclusive, because this is not just an African-American holiday. It is the oldest celebrated African-American holiday. But truly, as Ms. Opal says, it took more than us to help free us.
Thank you. And to piggyback off what she said, Juneteenth is also celebrated in Mexico as well. I want to say a couple of statements in Spanish first, and then I'll translate it in English. Oh. Did you want me to repeat that or? No. Okay. Okay, buenos días. Soy Amani Terrell, presidente de California y miembro más joven de Junta de NJOF.com. Estoy aquí en DC para apoyar a nuestro Shiro y miembro más vieja a la Junta, señora Opal Lee. Es imperativo que los jóvenes comprendan el significado de 19 de junio, conocido como Juneteenth. Cada uno debemos recordar a las generaciones sucesivas que este evento o desencadenó una serie de eventos que uno a uno definen a los desafíos y responsabilidades de las generaciones sucesivas. Habrá muchos más desafíos para enfrentar como nación los elementos de la desunión y estar dispuestos a prestar los sacrificios humanos realizados en una lucha pacífica para lograr la victoria. Esta es una gran lección histórica y contemporánea y una plantilla para que nuestra juventud lo siga. Good morning. I'm Amani Terrell, California president and youngest board member of NJOF. I'm here in DC to support our Shiro and oldest board member, Ms. Opal Lee. It is imperative that the youth understand the significance of Juneteenth. Every year we must remind successive generations that this event triggered a series of events that one by one define the challenges and responsibilities of successive generations. There will be many more challenges to confront as a nation, the elements of disunity, and be willing to appreciate the human sacrifices made in a peaceful struggle in order to achieve victory. Thank you.
And it's a good point that Amani brings up. In Fort Worth, Roanoke, Texas, I saw a marker inside of the city that talks about the farm of Bobby Jones being a part of the Underground Railroad. And I didn't know the Underground Railroad went north from Texas, and I did research. And there was a Southern Underground Railroad that is less known into Mexico, because Mexico did abolish slavery in 1829. And so we're working as a part of our Juneteenth to highlight and commemorate that and to bring that as a part of, because again, all things Juneteenth involves everybody. So we're building that bridge, and we're hoping to have a presentation from a young lady who's doing her dissertation at UT Austin to come and be a part of our Juneteenth in Fort Worth. So we understand that it's all of us collectively working together to enjoy the freedoms that we do today. Is going to take any questions that we had. All right, well, thank you, Ms. Opal. As the president of Unity Unlimited, the nonprofit organization that sponsors our Juneteenth in Fort Worth, and Opal's Farm and Opal's Walk to DC and all the things that we do for the community, I really appreciate you coming and being a part of this event today and online. Thank you. Share it, please. Make sure you go to juneteenth.us to sign the petition today. Pull your phones out. If you're at work, do it on the thing. All right, but make sure someone knows to support the Juneteenth national holiday by getting your voice counted so that we can top our number that we want, which is 3 million signatures before Juneteenth. Thank you.